Matt, so while we were holding down the fort here in South Africa, you and Mark, our CEO, were in Miami at the Online Global Marketplace Summit for 2023. And I just wanted to ask you a few questions around the summit to kind of get some key insights. And the first thing I wanted to ask, Matt, is why were we, as Pseudonym, attending this summit? What was the reason, and what were some cool companies that were there?
Sib, so as you said, it was the Global Online Marketplace Summit. And as you know, because you work for us, that online marketplaces and specifically property portals and car portals have been the bread and butter kind of clients of Pseudonym since our inception 7, 8, or 9 years ago, however long it was. So we've actually been attending versions of the conference. I think this was probably my 6th or 7th. I think Mark has probably been to a couple more. So it's kind of like an obvious one to go to for us because of the kinds of attendees in terms of both the marketplaces who attend, but also some of our partners and even our competitors. We learn a great deal. Mark and I had hummed and hard about this edition because for me, from Harare, it was a 35-hour flight to get there, I think, with all the layovers. For him, it wasn't much shorter. But having been, it was very much worth it. The organizing team always put on a great show, and this was no exception. I think there's been a real post-COVID kind of injection of energy into in-person conferences. Yeah, it was a great energy. And in terms of some of the cool companies we met, as I say, there were some interesting marketplaces from all over the world, from Dubai to Latin America, to obviously North America. We know a lot of them quite well. It was good to catch up with them and also meet some new businesses as well. We also met with partners and competitors, and we always learn a great deal from the conferences, not only from the presentations but also from the networking sessions.
Amazing, cool. Thanks, Matt. And I'm sure AI was probably a hot topic for the conference, and maybe you can answer a few questions like, where did you see this playing out or more, where did the businesses see AI playing out kind of in their day-to-day processes? Did they cover this topic? Was it a big thing or big topic of discussion?
You're right. Of course, AI is topical in every facet of life at the moment, and it was a key theme of the conference. I guess being a digital businesses, AI is a huge piece, especially for businesses like marketplaces. So it was a key theme, of course. I think, like many things AI at the moment, there were almost more questions than answers. I don't think anybody has a clear view or vision of how things will play out, but there were some very interesting use cases or potential applications, opportunities, risks identified, and a couple of them to highlight. Number one is kind of how users, and when I say users, I mean property seekers, if it's a property portal, or car buyers, if it's a car marketplace, how those kinds of people will interact with marketplaces going forward. And as you and most of our listeners will know, currently you go onto a place like Auto Trader, for example, in South Africa, and you'll put in some criteria, hit search, and then the portal will spit back suggestions to you based on the search criteria.
Yeah.
Now with conversational AI, large language models, etc., there's probably likely going to be a different entry point, a lot more kind of conversational and more relaxed. So I could say something like, I am looking for a 3-bedroom house close to a playground, not far from a school, for my 3 kids who are age such and such. Show me some options. And it'll be that easy to initiate a search based on where kind of the conversational element of AI is heading. So I think entry point is one area where AI presents a great opportunity. And I think marketplaces have a lot of data by their very nature on both specific users and on users generally. So they can augment the experience with data that they have to make suggestions that maybe I haven't even thought of. And so I think that entry point will be very interesting. There also a lot of talk about moderation, how AI can be used to detect fraudulent listings. And I think AI is a double-edged sword in that sense. Like, people can use AI to create better better descriptions, etc. But they can also use AI to fudge things and make things real than not real. So there's both an opportunity and a risk. But on the moderation side, AI can be used. Good AI can be used to kind of seek out bad AI and filter out fraudulent listings potentially. So yeah, as I said at the start, lots more questions than answers, but obviously it's going to play a very big part going forward.
Potentially a really streamlining of, if I was a buyer, my experience is going to be elevated to the next level.
I think so. Yeah, I think from a user perspective, the way people interact with marketplace businesses is likely to change a lot with the onset of AI.
Amazing. And then Matt, a lot of these marketplaces have quite a traditional revenue model, and maybe you can go into that, what that means, a traditional revenue model, and kind of, are there new opportunities in a revenue space when it comes to a marketplace? Are they thinking of new ways to monetize certain things? Did they chat about that?
It was a topic. I mean, making money is always a topic for these businesses. That's kind of what they're all about. So previous versions of the conference have largely focused on these businesses getting closer to the transaction. And what I mean by that is, say, for a property portal, for example, is not only being a marketing tool where they will take stock from sellers and try and attract as many buyers and then make sort of an introduction. They would like to get more into the transaction and participate in the actual selling of the house and all of the fees that come with that. Yes. That's obviously a lot more lucrative than simply marketing it. The focus this year was a little bit probably less on that. I think some businesses have been successful in getting closer to the transaction, others less so. I think with some of the new developments around AI and technology, marketplaces to some extent have decided to stick to the knitting and really double down on using these tools to augment the experience of being a marketing type business. And so I think there was a focus on revenues, and so the traditional models are usually subscription or a pay-per-lead model for property and real estate and vehicle type businesses. There's not a huge shift there, but there are some interesting kind of interesting cases. There's a German portal, for instance, that a property portal, instead of charging a property owner to rent or sell their property or to market their properties to rent and sell, what they're doing is charging property seekers who are looking for rental property a subscription. And this is because of the supply-demand dynamic in Germany. A lot of demand, little supply. So property seekers want to see properties before anyone else, so they have a better chance of getting a rental, for example. And then concierging that property seeker's journey towards rental. So they're monetizing the kind of the property seeker side as opposed to the landlord or the owner side, which is interesting. There's also historically, and at this conference, been talk about seller leads. So in markets where supply is tight, a real estate agent obviously has looking for buyers always, but they're also looking for mandates. So using tech tools to generate seller leads, so that's being someone who wants to sell the house, introducing that person to a real estate agent, so the real estate agent could get a mandate for that property. That is a revenue opportunity which continues to be taken advantage of. I know Property 24 in our market in South Africa have a similar sort of model around seller leads, which is quite innovative. So yeah, those were some of the examples of subscription changes in subscription revenue models that we saw.
Great, thanks, man. And I think just to bring it back to pseudonym as well, we've seen amongst even agency clients that this tech plays out in the form of qualifying questions, right? Getting an understanding of kind of where, or asking customers at the front door about certain things, so that there's a gathering of data, both for the purpose of the agency, but also for the purpose of the property seeker.
Absolutely. So, I mean, in terms of how some of our tools fit into some of the things I've described, obviously our WhatsApp product gives the ability for portals or real estate agencies, depending on who's using the tool, to ask qualifying questions to get more data from a lead or an inquirer ahead of passing them on to the person who's going to be responsible for processing that transaction or trying to close that transaction. And that does give more value in terms of prioritizing leads that are hot leads, if I can call it that. And then also, offering ancillary services, or saying, you're looking to buy a house, are you looking to sell a house? You can, to automate that process through kind of the bot flow at the front door, as you said, can be very powerful for these businesses as they look for new monetization opportunities.
Yeah, agreed. And I think to maybe bring it back to South Africa, which is where Pseudonym is based, are you seeing our portals in South Africa, whether it be the kind of niche verticals or the horizontal marketplaces portal in that land? Do you think we're faring well in South Africa? Are you seeing innovation? Do you expect innovation to kind of continue in South Africa as it is in these other countries? What would be your take on the South African marketplace?
It's an interesting one. And of course, when you go to a conference like this, you're seeing everybody showing off their shiny new products. And so, you're not looking at the nuts and bolts everyday kind of stuff. And so there's going to be things that are innovative and new that we haven't come across in our own market. That kind of goes without saying because of the nature of the conference. So yes, there were lots of tools and technologies and use cases and things that we saw that are not being done in South Africa, for example, and which probably could be and probably will be over time. I mean, the transfer of knowledge and technologies is quite rapid today. But I think more broadly, as you know, we do lots of businesses in Dubai. Property Finder, who's the leading property portal in Dubai, was actually presenting at the conference. So it was interesting seeing firsthand some of kind of the stuff that they've been doing. We know about it, but it was interesting hearing it from the horse's mouth as it was. I think Dubai is probably, I would say, 2 to 3 years ahead of South Africa in its adoption of some tech. So, for example, in the real estate space, a CRM is at the very center of everything a real estate agency does. Yes. Whereas in South Africa, CRMs are still kind of a nice to have. And I think South Africa, the South African landscape has as smarter people, has access to the technology. I think the real estate environment is slightly more old school. I think that this presents a massive opportunity though for South African businesses, because the businesses that do adopt new tech will give themselves an advantage very rapidly to kind of entrench themselves or grow their business very quickly based on some of the things we're seeing. So, I mean, of course, I'm talking our own book a little bit here, but the use of WhatsApp in Dubai, the way that the portals are leveraging WhatsApp there is incredible. They're asking qualifying questions. They're doing follow-up questions to get as much value and the best customer experience for every lead as possible, and also to get as much data and information for each of their clients, so their real estate agents' clients. And that really has taken both the user experience from a property seeker's perspective and agent performance to the next level. I think it's coming in South Africa. We are obviously speaking to businesses every day, and we see kind of increasing interest, increasing innovation. As I said, there's some incredibly smart people in South Africa who've got global experience and know how these global businesses work. I think it's coming, but obviously us as a prop tech business, would like to see it happen a little bit faster.
Agreed. It's really exciting, and I'm excited to see what's happening. We've seen some movement already amongst different customers and just talking to people. Matt, thanks. Those are the questions for me. You really summarized things well. We're really excited to be going to another conference in September or October, I think, which is specifically focused on property portals, and I will be attending that one, which I'm really excited about.
If we let you come this time, Sid.
Yeah, if I'm allowed. But I think, Matt, that's it from me, and yeah, it's great to hear these new insights.